BRRRR method. So what we're doing is I'm looking at a current deal that we have. This is a property here in St. Louis, Missouri that I'm going to analyze for the BRRRR method. Again, that is a way to acquire rental properties. It's not a phrase that we coined, but we did write a little book on it called the BRRRR method. You can find that on Amazon. It's available on Audible, all that stuff. We also have an entire course kind of dedicated to it that's 100% free. It's called the freelandlordcourse.com. You can head over there and actually get this little guy. This is our rental property analyzer. Here, let me zoom in a little bit so that we can see this better. How do I do that on Google Sheets? I think we just... let's move my face over here. So this is a BRRRR analysis, and we're going to make this all bigger. Where's my little button on here? View. Here it is. Let's make it 150. 200 stays in screen pretty well. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of my key to analyzing BRRRR deals. I've got a little spreadsheet that I filled out, and again, this is free over in the Free Landlord course, that shows you what you need to fill out, and it's really only these white ones that you fill out. So there's really only 4 pieces of information that I need. So we've been going back and forth, and we originally were being asked for 130 for the property. I think even higher, but 130 was our offer. We had estimated the rehab cost around 25, and we figured it was worth about 190. And then we figured the estimated monthly rent would be about 1,800 after we fixed it up. So when I do all this, you can see my little spreadsheet kind of pumps out numbers. And what it does is it takes into account the mortgage. I've kind of hidden that. And it takes into account the current interest rate and amortization schedule. So I know these from experience by working with our banks, and that's what our numbers are. So when I look at this deal, I've got a $130,000 purchase, $25,000 in rehab, and a value of $190. So that means I'm going to be all into this property for $157,500. I put a little 10% contingency because we usually tend to go over just a little bit, so it's always a good idea to have a contingency on there. Then we've got our mortgage price. So our mortgage, our estimated mortgage amount, and this is based off of the ARV, which would be the appraisal, so what you think the property is going to appraise for, and then our loan to refi value, this 80%. So here I'll click on this cell, you can see it's multiplying that 190 times 80%, and that gives you, when combined with your 5% and 20%, it gives you your estimated P&I. So there's my payment and interest for the loan, about $1,000 a month. We estimate our insurance is about $100 or about $50 a month, and our taxes around $100, give or take. And this might be a little bit low on this particular deal because it's a little higher than our average. Our average is around $125,000 property. This one's a little bit higher, so again, I'm going to bump those up to 200, and just on this particular property. Okay, so I'm looking at my estimated property management. We take 8% of our total rent for property management because we're not doing it in-house any longer. And there's our total estimated cost. Every month, this is what it's going to cost to own that property. But we're bringing in $1,800 in rent. So that means we've got cash flow of $453, which is good. Our target is $300 per property. On this one, since it's a duplex, we probably should expect a little bit more, so that's good. And our expected equity capture is going to be $38,000. That's huge. So the problem with this deal is that we're going to have to bring $5,500 to closing. If we look at the numbers, I've got $190,000 value, and I have to bring money to close because I'm only getting a loan for $152, and our all-in is $157,500. So again, we're going to leave money into it, or we're going to have to bring money to that rehab closing, which is less than ideal. Now these numbers are just ballparks, and I want to show you all the tools, how I actually come up with the correct numbers. Now, the only one that you can really negotiate is the purchase price. And that gets back to the key philosophy of the discount property investors, which is you have to buy properties at a discount. You have to buy right in order to get good deals so that you can BRRRR them and you can wholesale them. So here is where we're going to dive into that. So let's first look at PropStream. I put a link in the bottom of the description here, give you a free trial of PropStream. But let's pull up 528 Dover and look at this one, see what we get. There in St. Louis. And then I want to look, so we've got the average comps at 150, and this one says estimated value 190. So you can see that's where we started our assumptions. We started at 190. And where are we going to go from there? That is what we will figure out. So we want to look at comps on this property, and shoot, I always get this thing not working right. Oh, analysis, here we go. So we do, no, that's not it. Details. All right, so details, here we go. We go into the details page. We can see this is a duplex. This is cool. It's got some additional information, 2,600 square foot, so pretty good sized property. And we can see who currently owns it, all sorts of stuff about the property from the assessor's website. Right here is the comps and nearby listings. And this is where it gets good, at least in my opinion. I'm going to look at some of these, and look at, I've got 501, 503 Dover. This sold for 138. All right, that's a little bit less. Got 748 Dover, single family, sold for 260. We've got 942 Dover, 190. Got duplex, sold for 115, single family 220. So these single families are really bringing up our average on this. I mean, 220s. Let's look at duplex 139, single family 245, duplex 160. So we're definitely getting much higher values out of the single families, and that's how we could look at this, because it could be converted to a single family. So we could see an ARV, I mean, around, look at this one. So here's apartments generic. Let's look at the pictures of this one. This Bates one. Okay, this is a 4-family. And that's all we've got on the picture part. Yeah, so we've got some other ones. 748 Dover. Let's look at this guy. 2,400 square foot, so similar square footage. Look at the pictures here on the left, and I'll move my face out of the way. Pictures here on the left, so very well done rehab, it looks like. And they're listing it, or it's sold at, rather. Which one did I just click on? Sold at, I think that was 748. 200, yeah, 248,000. Okay, so that means these guys, the single families are much higher, the duplexes are a little bit lower. That's not a huge issue for me. And again, this is just pretty quick analysis, but we're going in more detail now to try to figure out what we think the property's worth. I really wish I had some higher duplexes. Retail stores, that's all right, because I'm planning. I mean, again, I think we should push the ARV just based on these single families and the way that the market is right now. So I'm rounding it up to 200, based on single families and the fact that we could convert it, and it's going to help make my numbers work a little bit better. So I'm going to say it's a $200,000 property, based on square foot, location, etc. And that's what we're going to use for our ARV, or our target appraisal. That's what we're going to hopefully shoot for on this one. Okay, so then what's our next number in the equation? The next number is the rehab or holding cost. So our rehab and holding cost, we calculate, but there's a couple different ways. One, when we walk through it, we just kind of do a ballpark guesstimate of what our rehab numbers are. And another way is to use like the rule of fives, or the rule of 10. So basically when I walk through a kitchen, it needs to be replaced, I'm going to say, okay, I need to do maybe $5,000 or $10,000 worth of work here. Okay, when I walk through and I see the flooring needs to be done, $5,000. When I walk through paint, $5,000, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll come up with, you know, kind of a round number, but it's an estimate of your rehab cost. Another way, get a contractor to come out there with you. Once you've got a contractor you're working with, it just makes sense to bring them with you so they can give you bids and get your estimates a lot more accurate on the properties you're buying. Another way that we like to use, because we like to kind of do it ourselves, is called Rehab Estimator Pro. And this one, we will do a little virtual walkthrough of Dover. All right, so we're going to enter in a new property here. And we're not going to fill out this other stuff because that's going to help us just figure out some rental stuff. No exact amount. 528 Dover. Let's find the actual address. 528 Dover Place. Okay. No exact match. Whatever. Create it. Save it. Calculate ARV to use. We're going to use 200,000 square footage. 2,600, I think it was. And that's kind of important. Let's confirm that number. We had 2650, so close enough. Okay, the roof. We did not see the roof because it's pretty high up, but again, we were told it's in decent shape, so I'm not going to factor a replacement on that. We walked through it. There was no evidence that it was needing replaced. Let's go into Dropbox and take a look at my photos of this property. 528 Dover. Look at, I believe these are the photos. Let's do a grid so we can see them all. Little large grid. Okay, so here's the front of it. It's got a shingle roof. A lot of them around there actually have flat roofs, so it's not the great, or I actually kind of like that. I prefer that. You can see the bottom unit. So this is the bottom unit of this duplex. Needs work. Again, there's no ceiling here. Looks like they started some rehab. They did a nice job. This would be the master because it's got two big closets on the main level. Bathroom obviously needs work. The flooring needs to be refinished. Here's our kitchen. So again, this needs everything on the main unit. Now, the upstairs unit has been rehabbed already, and they did a pretty decent job putting it together. Again, it's not exactly how we would have done it, but they did finish it, and it does look nice. Refinished the hardwoods, painted. Again, we would have done a little bit different paint color. We would have done with an agreeable gray, and we like to put new ceiling fans in. This one's looking a little old, looking a little tired. So that's what we would do when we rehab it. And you know what? We might do that when we buy it. Just kind of fix it up, make the tenant happy that's currently living there. Basement down here. Again, just a dirty old basement. Not that much going on. Okay, so you've got the idea for what the condition of this property is. So when I go through, I'll try to explain what we're doing. So windows, I'm going to say I'm going to put in about 12 windows. Well, not really. I mean, the bathrooms, I know I'm going to need to do it. Maybe the kitchen. Let's factor 4 windows in. We're not doing vinyl. We're not painting garages. We're not doing garage openers. The back does have, so this is a kind of a city property. It does have an alley, and there is off-street parking back there, but there's no garage. So again, there's no garage to repair, which is good. All right, so here is the exterior. The interior, we're going to do painting, but we're only going to do about half of it because, again, the upstairs is rented. So we're going to paint half of it. Flooring and tile work, we're going to do about half of it because the upstairs is already working. A kitchen, we're going to do a lower end. Again, $3,500 is a reasonable cost. I'm going to do $125 for one kitchen. Now, why am I leaving that at $100 or putting it higher? Well, each kitchen is going to be 100% of that 2,600 square foot. So that's what we're going to use on that one. Bathroom, I'm going to say one full. I don't know that we have a price set. Nah, see, that's too high. I'm going to do 0.5 of that. So about $2,000 I'm going to spend on our bathroom. Basement, we're going to do some clean out, some miscellaneous stuff, but not a lot on there. So framing and drywall repairs. This one's going to be a big one. 1,000 seems a little bit low. So let's go with 300% of that. We're spending money fast. We're spending money fast. The furnace was older. I'm going to replace one of those. That's about right. Because it has a boiler. Now again, I may not actually have to replace it because I know there's an AC outside. So I know there is central AC run to both units. But again, I just don't know. Because I did find a boiler down there. So I'm not sure what's going on, but we're going to have to upgrade some of that. Permits, yeah, we'll get some permits. Foundation work. So there was one pillar that I'm going to have addressed, but again, I don't think that's a huge deal. We'll do a final cleaning, and it did not, I don't believe it needed water, electrical permits, anything like that. Some other miscellaneous stuff. And that's about it. So if I go and look now at the report, it's saying I'm going to spend $27,548. So I go back to this, and I've got, look at this, 25,000 was my guesstimate, plus 2,500, 27,000. But let's put 27,000. I mean, I'm going to actually call it 30,000 just to be safe, because I do like to round these things up. And we're going to go right there. All right. So the numbers are getting tight. You see this one skipped from green to red, meaning we're going to leave about $3,000 in the property. That's all right. Let's keep going. We've got our purchase price. We've got our rehab. We've got our estimated value. And now we need to find our rent amounts. So our rent amount we find by going to, well, there's a couple places. One, we use Rentometer. Again, I put a little link in there to Rentometer, or Rentometer is what I've heard it called, and maybe I'm saying it wrong. And what you do is you type in the address, the rent, the bed and bath count, and then you analyze it and you see what it gets. So this one's saying that we're a little bit high at 900, but again, I think that these are a little bit bigger units, about 1,300 square foot each. And again, we usually fix them up pretty nice, so we're going to get 900 pretty easily for it. The existing tenant is actually paying, I believe, 8 now, and we're going to ask them to increase to 900 just to get this deal done in the first place. So I know we're going to have 900 on that one. The bottom unit's going to be completely new, so we'll probably try to get about 1,000 out of that one. I'm going to put 1,850. So again, we'll get 900 plus 950. We'll call that 1,850 a month on rent. Okay, so now I've got all three of these numbers, except I'm leaving money in the deal, so I don't like it. I'm also not cash flowing great. I mean, this is $450 per for 2 doors, so it's only about $220 a door. So we negotiated the price down. So we're actually going to pay $122.5. Everything lights up green. Gives me another $4,500 in cushion, which is awesome because again, this rehab at 30 is going to be tight with everything we're going to do to it. So again, we're going to have, it's 33. It's probably going to be 35,000 rehab, and we're going to come in right at getting most of our cash back. We're going to cash flow $220 per unit, and we're going to have some equity in this property when it's all said and done. And that is a BRRRR analysis, a pretty quick one. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm doing. If you have questions, ask. Otherwise, I'm probably going to hop off here. I'll go through one more time the tools that I use. Oh, and then I did mention free landlord course, freelandlordcourse.com as well. We've moved all of our content over to our Discount Property Investor site, or actually in the middle of doing that. But this site has everything that I've talked about, and it goes into a lot more detail on each one. We're actually working on redoing this course as well. But this is where you're going to find that rental metric analyzer is what I call it in the course. So you'll find this rental metric analyzer. It's a Google sheet that I share with you. It actually triggers you to download it or save it to your Google account, and then you're able to manipulate it. Nobody can see your data. I can't see it. It's all yours in your Google Drive. So again, you'd be able to have a copy of the spreadsheet with the little mortgage thing calculated in here. So let's play with these numbers a little bit more. This is where it gets kind of fun. Okay, so we're buying it for 122. Our rehab cost is 30. Let's say we cut some corners and we do it for 25. Let's say that the appraisal only comes out at 190, and we only get 900 in rent. We are still in the green on most of these. But here's where, again, what if the interest rate was 4%? So again, I'm recalculating my mortgage. Our cash flow goes through the roof. What if it's 5.5? And it goes down. So interest rate, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that's really high, Mike, or I think I had it at 5.25. It is high, but it is a commercial loan for 20 years. So again, we're working with commercial lenders. We work with our local banks, and they just have different terms for commercial loans versus our regular traditional mortgage loans. So that's why I use that interest rate, because it's what we've experienced in the past. Now, in full disclosure, we slowed down our acquisitions last year with all the COVID stuff. We actually sold off some, and we're back in acquisition mode. So we're probably going to see those interest rates a little bit lower. I think they're about 4.5 right now, but again, I'm not going to drop them too much until I actually see those on the docs. This is another thing that's kind of cool. So loan to refi value. And again, this is important, and another one you can manipulate. So it's calculated, but you guys can edit this as well. What if your bank will only give you 75% loan to value? Well, look at that. I'm going to leave $7,500 in this property. Let's do 70%, $17,000 left in this property. What does that mean? Well, it means that we either need to negotiate a better deal, and that's really it, or not buy the deal if you don't want to leave the money in it. But that is, again, that's something that's up to you as well. As a BRRRR investor, we try to get all of our money back, but that's not always the case. Some people want to leave some money in it. Some people like having money in the properties, and that's totally up to you, how much you want to leave in your properties and how much you don't. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off now. I don't see any questions or comments. Thank you so much for watching. This was a little quicker than I'd expected, but hopefully it gives you an idea of how to analyze a property for BRRRR, or to use as a BRRRR property. Whoops. All right, signing off, guys. Thanks.